Welcome to another episode of Two Dudes in a Movie, episode 47. I am Luke Parrish.
I'm AJ Ferguson.
And I'm Paul Tabling.
All right, today we are reviewing The Magnificent Seven, the Western. But before we get there, let's talk about what we've been watching this week. And AJ, start us off.
Okay,
Yes.
so I finished the Clone Wars. We'll be doing an episode on that, bonus feature on that pretty soon. For any Clone Wars fans out
Did you
there.
finish it?
Yeah, I
Clone
finished it,
Wars?
yeah.
Okay.
Really liked the ending. I don't know if we get into that right this second or not, but I did enjoy it. I saw some people online didn't like it very much.
It was interesting.
It is interesting. It's different, and we'll talk about it in detail later. But I did enjoy it. Parks and Rec, finished that up.
Yeah.
That feels like a long time ago now because I've watched a lot of stuff since then. But I do love Parks and Rec. We'll actually be doing a bonus feature on that relatively soon also, I think. One of my favorite shows, actually my favorite show of all time. So it's
Mine
on
as well.
Oh, dude. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. Amazing show. Tiger King. Binge watched that in like a night and a half. We actually have already recorded a bonus feature on Tiger King, so check that out.
Man, have we not done a bonus feature on stuff you've watched, AJ?
I know,
Yeah,
good lord,
yeah.
I'm just like going down the list right here.
It's the only reason we do bonus features,
But
for AJ.
Tiger
For AJ.
King is hey, I gotta talk to somebody about that show. Gotta talk to somebody. Might as well record it.
Right?
Tiger King, really interesting, crazy, just insane show. Funny at
It's hard
moments,
to believe that it
really
happened.
sad and depressing at moments. Like
Yes.
it's really high highs and low lows on that show.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
It is insane. Like it just gets crazier and crazier every episode. So if you have been on the fence about watching Tiger King, I'm going to give you that nudge and say, go ahead and watch the first episode.
Yeah.
If you're not there for that, then don't do it. But if you like it, keep on going. Because
See how wild it
gets
is.
crazier after the first episode.
Train wreck on fire.
Dude, literally, it's a train wreck on fire and a tornado surrounded by like a tsunami. It's insane.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. World War II Greatest Events in Color is a short little mini series on Netflix, and it kind of highlights the major events of World War II with this really, really cool updated color footage from around the world. It's kind of been remastered or whatever. It's really cool and insightful. They get a lot of really famous historians from around the world and talk about these major events. And I love World War II. I've kind of still been on that World War II kick ever since we watched Darkest Hour. So I'm still kind of on that phase a little bit, still reading Winston Churchill's book. Actually just finished that book yesterday.
Wow.
So it's insane because it's like...
It's like the like Bible.
finished Most Dangerous Game on
Yeah.
Quibi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Did you finish it?
I have not.
Okay. Did you get past the first episode?
Not yet.
Okay.
Paul, come on.
Come on, Paul. You got to do it. It's
I have other things to do.
It's like 8 minutes an episode.
Yeah. You
Come
finished
on.
this at a lunch break.
No joke. You can literally finish it like... Yeah. You finished it, right?
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Dude, it's a great ending, too. I was surprised.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to go this way, and it kind of didn't. So,
It's crazy.
good stuff. Really enjoyed it. It's on Quibi. If you haven't heard us talk about that before, it's a phone app, or an app for your phone. You download, watch little 8 to 10 minute episodes on your phone.
Quality.
Yeah, it is actually pretty high quality. I watched Shawshank Redemption on Netflix. Pretty sure it's on Netflix. With Morgan Freeman and the guy who looks like Leonardo DiCaprio, but he's not Leonardo DiCaprio.
What?
Forever. Like, literally, my entire life, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio
What's the guy's name? Tim
was the
something, right?
co-star of this movie. And I watched it, I was like, that's not Leonardo DiCaprio.
Tim Robbins?
I guess. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, every picture I've ever seen of the trailer,
That's hilarious.
or the poster, I've always just assumed it was Leonardo DiCaprio.
What?
I'm dead serious. I don't know why.
That's hilarious.
Because it came out in the 90s, right? Like early 90s, mid 90s.
94.
Yeah, so it was like, for whatever reason, I just assumed I was a young Leonardo DiCaprio and kind of looked like him, but kind of didn't. And I don't know why, but I thought that forever, and I was wrong. It's still a great movie. Still a great movie. I
Oh
really
my gosh.
enjoyed it. I don't think it
amazing.
deserves the hype of being like the greatest movie on IMDb or whatever.
That's good, though.
It's good. It's very, very good. But it's definitely not, in my opinion, like the greatest. If you've never seen it before, you should definitely watch it. It's kind of a classic, iconic movie.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, I watched Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Classic movie. I think I told you guys this before, maybe. I don't remember. Most expensive Disney movie ever made that was animated. Had like $180 million budget. It was insane. It took them like 9 years to make it. And it lost money.
The animation's very good.
It lost money because it like the budget was so high, and it kind of flopped in the theater. But I really like that movie. It's the same studio that brought you Lilo and Stitch. So the animation looks the same. So the humans look the same as the humans in.
That's funny.
So it's pretty funny. But anyway,
get your boy Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this movie. I forget there's one other.
Martin Short.
Yeah, Martin Short. He plays the robot.
He's the robot.
Yeah, that's a great Ben. He loses his mind. I watched Pirates of the Caribbean #4 on Stranger Tides. This is the one with. Okay. It's not that bad. It's not.
Ian McShane saves the movie.
Ian McShane saves the movie. He's a great bad guy. Penelope Cruz is a little bit cringy at times. She does okay. Her and Jack Sparrow together are kind of interesting. Kind of interesting chemistry there because they kind of were like exes, but there's still kind of some tension there, you know? Still a spark.
Ex-lovers.
Little spark there. But anyway, it's interesting. Not as good as the first 3 by any means. I think it's better than 5. Because 5's not great. But it's not terrible. People poop on this movie. It does not deserve to be pooped on.
Well, they're rebooting
The 6th one.
They're rebooting
Without
something,
Johnny Depp.
right? Yeah, which I'm like, no.
But she got fired from set.
Well, because he's like gone crazy. But I watched 21, which is a movie about blackjack
And counting cards.
and counting cards. It's based on a true story, which is crazy, about these students from MIT who are really, really smart, and they fly to Vegas every weekend and gamble a bunch of money.
Sounds inefficient.
And
Apparently not.
and make a bunch of money every weekend by counting cards in Vegas, and then fly back to Boston for class and go back and forth pretty much like while they're in college. And Kevin Spacey's the teacher. The teacher's kind of a weird character. He's kind of likable at first, and you kind of hate him, and you like him again. And it's weird. It's a weird movie, but I did like it. Did enjoy it. It's kind of hit or miss for people, but it's okay. I didn't love it. It's okay. The best movie I think I've watched this week was Django, which is
Django Unchained.
Unchained
Tarantino.
with Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's the first Quentin Tarantino movie I ever watched was this movie. I think it's the only Tarantino movie I've seen multiple times at this point.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah.
I've only seen the other ones once. Anyway, I like this movie a lot. I think it's my favorite Tarantino movie besides Reservoir Dogs, maybe.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't know. I'd have to make a list of Tarantino movies, but I like Reservoir Dogs the best. But I do like Django. I watched it because it's kind of a Western. It's kind of in that same vein of Magnificent Seven, so that's why I watched it. And then the last thing I've been watching is this Michael Jordan series on ESPN.
Yeah.
2 episodes every Sunday night. Episodes 7.
2 episodes?
Yeah.
Why don't they just do one big episode?
Well, it's a 10-episode.
I guess it allows them to break it up into like themes.
Yeah, it's a 10-episode miniseries, and then you kind of have 2 episodes.
What's it
per
called?
week. It's called The Last Dance.
Last Dance.
It is really good. Have you watched any of it? Dude,
like I said, I don't have a real way to watch ESPN.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome, man. I've been blown away with the quality, but also the content. Because I'm a big Bulls fan, big Michael Jordan fan. I've watched all the documentaries before. Michael Jordan was a little bit before my time. I was born in 95, and he was kind of in his prime in the 90s. So it was before my time, so I never got to watch him in person, obviously. Never really got to watch him on TV because I was a kid. But I've watched all those documentaries before, and this one is interesting, and it's unique because I didn't know this until now. I don't know if a lot of people knew this before now. Jordan and the Bulls owner and Phil, the coach, all agreed to have this film crew come in the 97-98 season and film all like 100% of their lives in basketball, outside of basketball, the whole year.
Yeah.
Dang.
And all that footage got put in a box in some basement, and it's just come out the last couple of years. And then these directors are taking that footage and compiling it with interviews from back then, with news footage from back then, with interviews from today. And it's really, really, really cool.
Did they say why it's taken so long?
No, I haven't yet. They might.
Okay.
But
That's just curiosity to
I
me.
think, honestly, I don't know this. This is kind of just a conspiracy theory that I've seen online that I kind of agree with. I think Michael has wanted to
Bury it.
Not bury it, but just kind of like hold on to it
Yeah.
until the right moment.
I think it's
And
one
for
of those
whatever reason,
things
he
that's-
just chose-
It's better if you wait.
And for whatever reason, he's chosen now-ish because he's kind of a producer on the show.
Okay.
He's not like making himself look better than he is.
Got the 8th grade.
He's allowing them to show things that people didn't necessarily know about him because he's a jerk, like at practice and to his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Like his teammates
sure.
say he's a great teammate, which he was a great teammate, obviously,
because he won games.
but he's also a terrible like teammate at the same time. And so they kind of do a great job of showing both of those sides of Jordan. Which is really fascinating because he talks about it even now. Like he's like old man, 50 whatever year old Jordan sitting there in this chair, and he's like, "That's how he won. And if you don't like it, then
Get out of here.
Yeah.
who cares? Who needs you?" Like that's his mindset.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
He's a
that's
winner.
the standard that he has. Anyway, if you're a Jordan fan, basketball fan in any way, highly recommend it. I've been watching it on YouTube TV. I don't know if you guys have YouTube TV or whatever, but
I probably want
that's
to check it out.
that's where I've been watching. It's really really cool.
I have
And
no
so,
doubt it is.
Episodes 9 and 10 are next week, so it'll be over next week.
Okay. Well, didn't you say like once it's or you heard once
Yeah.
it's done on ESPN,
So
it's going to go to
So it's
Netflix? or
ESPN
something?
Films and Netflix are partnering to make it. So I think
That's smart.
I think the agreement is once it's off air, it'll go to Netflix and it'll go to Disney Plus because ESPN owns it
Oh,
or Disney owns
Yeah,
ESPN.
that's true. That's
forgot
true.
about
It'll either go to Disney
Okay.
Plus or Hulu because it's like TV mature right
Yeah.
now because of the language. So it'll probably won't go to Disney Plus.
Disney
it'll
be
probably,
like,
it'll probably go to Hulu because Disney owns Hulu too.
Why don't they just own everybody?
Well,
they pretty much do.
they kind of
Yeah.
do. Yeah, that's why the ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus have that bundle.
I have that bundle.
Well, yeah, as long as it comes out on one of those
So
other
I'm-
things that I
I'm
have.
I'm pretty sure Netflix is going to get it because they helped produce it.
Yeah, I think you're
Cool.
right. Is that it?
I watched a lot. Yep.
Yep,
It's
okay.
been a while. Yep.
I'm gonna start off with my TV shows. Finished Clone Wars. Fantastic.
Nice.
Love the
You
ending.
like the ending?
Yep, big fan of
Just
it.
like we'll talk about it later, but you liked it.
Big fan. Yep.
I was too.
There's nothing else they could have done. I'd have been like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. I've been watching Bob's Burgers again. That's
Bob's
a show.
Burgers.
That's a show I watched a lot of, and
He's
then
a
I
redneck,
like.
right?
No, he's just a.
Is there a redneck
He's
in that
just
show?
a restaurant owner.
That one thing of a different show. Is it King of the Hill?
No.
You're thinking of King of the
Yeah.
Hill.
That's what I'm thinking of.
But yeah, Bob's Burgers. That's a show I started. Got to like season 5, and for some reason, like we started like another show, and we just quit watching. But now we picked back up. And actually, as of today that we're recording, the show got renewed for an 11th season.
Dang.
Bob's Burgers?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
And that's it. All right, so Bob's Burgers is one thing, and I was reading the comments on over the renewal, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like it's like this is just season 3. Are you kidding me? We're on like season 11."
That's
Like-
yeah.
This
Dude.
show's very refreshing. They're very original what they do, I think, and like it's a good watch.
I felt that way with Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like once Family Guy got like, and yeah, I saw something where they're like 12th season, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
And I was like, holy crap.
So better than Family Guy? Like if I were going to watch one adult
I think it.
animated show,
It
which
depends-
one should it be?
What kind of humor you like?
That's
I-
very accurate.
I like Bob's Burgers humor. I couldn't get into Family
Compare
Guy.
it to a regular TV show.
I think Bob's Burgers is closer to a regular sitcom.
I would probably agree with that.
And
For
Family
me,
Guy is more like
Family Guy is like
more out there.
I'm trying to think of
Is it
a,
like dumb
a
humor, would you say,
wholesome
or-
family, but like to the extreme of stupidity and hilarity.
The middle.
Okay, yeah, you can say something like the middle, but like in like
More crazy.
more crazy, and they're like in New England, so
Like when he fights the chicken all the time, and yeah.
dude. And then Stewie wants to like he's this talking baby, but nobody except the dog understands him, and
Yeah.
the dog actually talks, and the people understand the dog, and you're like, what the heck is going on here?
I just
a little
don't think I
crazier.
could get into it. Have y'all watched The Simpsons?
I didn't get into
I
the
can't
Simpsons.
get into the Simpsons.
So again,
But it's dumb, right?
It's very
Is that why you can't get into Simpsons? Because it's dumb?
it's a different humor scape. I will agree with Luke that I really like Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
I think Seth
He is a genius,
MacFarlane
I think.
is a genius, and that's
He's
why
Bob's Burgers?
he's Family
No.
Guy.
Okay.
That's why I like Family Guy, and I think The Simpsons are way too stupid. But there are other people that think it's the greatest one ever because it's
Well, it's
obviously
been
been
on
on
season.
for 20 seasons
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And then Bob's Burgers is in that other pocket. So it's just kind of your
And then King of the Hill's different.
King of the Hill's different. It's more of like a
And American Dad.
American Dad is also Seth MacFarlane. It's a little weird. King of the Hill is kind of like Texas redneck
They stand by the fence and drink
Guys.
beer like
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah, and barbecue a lot.
And propane accessories.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what he sells.
I'll probably watch Bob's Burgers.
Check out just a few episodes.
You might
at
just
least.
watch like a couple episodes
on
of
Hulu?
each.
Hulu.
I think Family Guy's on Hulu.
What's Bob's Burgers?
Bob's
on?
Burgers is on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah,
Check it out.
it's solid.
I mean, I won't check it out.
I mean,
right
but
now, but eventually.
the thing is that it just feels so new. Like when you watch it, it's very like
Mm-hmm.
each episode's so different. And
I've
they're
just never given an adult animated show a chance before.
this one I think they're coming out with they are coming out with the Bob's Burgers movie sometime soon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, not like it's gonna be animated.
Okay, actually, what you need to watch
sounds funny.
is there are Family Guy versions of Star Wars.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the
They're
Jedi.
like legit full length movies.
They're like an hour and 40 minutes or something, or hour and a half
Are
or
they like
something.
spoofs, like Spaceballs kind of thing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But it's like shot for shot.
Oh,
like
really?
like Peter Griffin plays Han Solo, Stewie plays Darth Vader, Brian the dog plays Chewbacca. Like, okay,
Yeah. And
that's
they're funny?
that's a good way to get into.
I've
if
actually seen like one of
And
those.
the characters are pretty much the same.
yes, the characters are the same.
Okay.
That's a good
Alright.
avenue to get into
Okay.
Family Guy
I can
if
do
you
that.
want to get
I
into
can do
Family
that.
Guy.
I could try.
Daniel and I dressed up as Bob and Linda from Bob's Burgers from one year for Halloween. So that's how much
That's
we
awesome.
like it.
Oh my god. I
Um,
can't believe Danielle likes that.
she
show.
loves it.
Cannot
Absolutely
believe-
loves it.
I can't believe she likes. It's so funny to me that Danielle likes some of the things.
Oh
that
my
she
gosh, she
likes.
loves it. All right, so I also watched the first episode of the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I
Um,
watched that too. I didn't add that to my list because
Very interesting, just because it's
that's the
cool.
director's one.
Yeah,
Yep, the director's
You
one.
And-
you like it because Waititi's on there.
I like Taika Waititi, but I also like
Dave
Dave
Filoni's
Filoni
my
a lot.
favorite.
I
He's my
love that
favorite.
guy.
Filoni was good.
Favreau's great. Bryce Dallas
good.
Howard's good. But it's cool to see the show shot so differently with being shot in that like ring, where they can change the backgrounds and then just seeing, because I think it does so many things differently, and so it's really cool to be able to see that. And just behind the scenes of Star Wars, just something
Have you
I love
watched the
seeing.
newest one?
No, I haven't
That
seen
one's
the second
pretty
one
cool. It's on like Legacy, and so it's like them all talking about how they got into Star Wars.
Yet. That's really
That's cool.
pretty
I
cool.
like the themes they have going there.
It's
and-
interesting to hear all of the directors talk because
Yeah.
they all
Yeah.
work together on every episode, but one person was in charge of the episode.
Yeah.
So it's such an interesting way to work. Like on
Yeah.
a typical TV show, a director flies in, directs, flies out, and leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
On Mandalorian, they were all there for every episode.
It helps with like continuity, I think. And they all seem to work so well.
And they're all
together.
friends, and they're all Star Wars fans. I think it's just like Favreau is just so good
Yeah.
at that,
Right.
like creating that chemistry in that room,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then taking that and applying it to the show.
And then also I watched Empire Strikes Back, so one of the Star Wars movies I haven't seen. I've seen the
Nice.
least. I've seen I was going to either watch that or episode 2, and I was like, I don't feel like sitting through a Star Wars romance
Do or
for 2
do
hours.
not. There is no try.
Yeah, so I watched episode 5, and I like this movie a lot more after the second time because this movie is slower, but it takes
Very
a
slow.
chance to dive more into like Star Wars lore and like about the Force and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And the movie I think is so revolutionarily loved because when it came out, like we all knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father, I think, before we watched the movie.
We did, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Like,
but
yeah.
back then that was like the biggest twist in cinema.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Dude,
ever.
100%. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a movie also to where it helps to be around when it came out. But I mean,
Yeah.
also I like it more after watching it this time. So,
Yeah.
bigger fan of Empire Strikes Back now. Now let's get into something else. I watched Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping, which is basically like Lonely Island the movie. If you like Andy Samberg and the music that he sings, watch this movie. But
I'm on a boat.
yeah, this movie is like. This movie,
I love Andy Samberg, and then there's just like a dark side of Andy Samberg that I cannot get into.
So this is basically it. So they all play in different
can't.
characters. They're not Lonely Island, but they make a movie where they're in like a boy band together, and then he becomes more successful. He goes off, does his solo career, and then all this stuff. And he becomes a jerk and then eventually gets the band back together. But he has a song in there called like Equal Rights or something, and it's all about like there should be equal rights. He's like, there should be equal rights and equal rights, but then every like between all the sense he goes, but I'm not gay. He's like, not gay. He's like trying to say stuff that he's not like homosexual, but he's out there like supporting it.
Andy Samberg is a funny dude, but for
Yes.
me, there's just times where he goes places I just can't go with.
That's
him. Like,
this is probably something where you can go, but that movie it made me chuckle a few
he's
times
funny.
because I love
funny dude.
I love his humor.
I do too, man. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of my favorite
Yeah,
shows, and he's a huge writer on that show.
The movie's very funny.
Is that different than the movie where he plays like the celebrity music guy who like I saw the trailer for where he like kicks the basketball like off the court? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I think this is it.
It's the same
movie. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
because I saw a trailer.
You've seen the trailers for it,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if that was
he's-
a different Andy Samberg movie.
He's funny.
Okay.
I watched a artsy fartsy movie by A24 called Under the Silver Lake, starring Andrew Garfield. Movie was way too long, to be honest. It's like the premise was super interesting. Basically, all these rich people and stuff, they want to be able to talk to other people, but they don't do it through phones. They need like kind of untraceable ways, and so they hire people to include it like these hidden messages in songs, cereal boxes, all this other stuff. And this guy's so paranoid, he starts to kind of figure this stuff out, and it's about his journey to find this girl that he was like fell in love with, but this stuff like leads him to her. And
Oh my god.
the movie's like has like
I'm
the
so
weird
confused.
artsy stuff. Like at some point, like he's sitting there, he's like looking at a girl swim. She hops out and then she starts like barking at him. And you're like, what's going on?
I'm telling you, man, you watch the weirdest movies.
I like it.
Where'd you
though.
find this movie?
Bottom row, all the way to the right.
I'm
Netflix.
telling you, go all the way to the bottom, scroll all the way to the right. That's
re-
where Luke's movies
I
are.
rented it on Amazon Prime. A buddy
You
recommended
paid money
it to
for
me.
this movie?
Yeah, why not? I pay money for lots of movies. But no, the premise to me. So I enjoyed like half of the movie, like, but then I didn't enjoy half of it.
Sounds like
It was like-
Annihilation.
It sounds like Annihilation.
But this
Was
movie,
it better than Annihilation?
No.
Nah.
By the way, we just recorded a bonus feature on Amazon Prime. We talked about a movie called Annihilation, so you should check that out.
Check it out when it's released.
Hot take on Annihilation.
But no, it's like I really liked the premise of the movie, but then it was like done in a weird way, and I was like, man, I don't know. But the movie afterwards, I was like, that was okay. Then also I watched. So I'm someone who doesn't watch a whole lot of like Netflix movies or anything, but I decided to sit down and watch one. I watched The Ritual, which is a horror movie, and it's about the group of buddies. One of them dies, and they're like, oh man, they were trying to plan a trip originally, and they're like, he's like, hey, let's go hiking, and so that one dies, and they're like, well, let's go hiking. And so they go hike
Like in honor of their dead
in honor of
friend.
their friend,
Ah.
yeah. And so they go to Norway, and they hike these mountains. Well, they're from England, and so Norway's
Oh,
like,
I was like, let's just go to Norway.
From Oklahoma.
So they go to Norway, and they go through the woods and stuff, and they start encountering these like terrifying things. This is one of the creepiest like scary movies I'd seen in a while. And they end up coming like face to face with the son of Loki, which the son of Loki in this movie is this giant elk thing with like bones sticking out, these huge antlers, and its face is this weird like pit, but there's these like arms sticking out of the side of it. And man, this thing's terrifying looking. And they run into this like cult people, and it's wild, but it's honestly
It ain't no skeleton bear with.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm
Ain't no-
still out.
Ain't no skeleton bear, but man, this movie is freaky. It has great reviews, honestly. Like people like it a lot. It's based off of a book. It's one of my. I'd have it on there for my Netflix recommendations.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all I've watched. Paul?
Interesting.
Nice. Man, we watched a lot.
I know.
I've watched quite a few things as well. So Jan and I finished Full House.
Nice.
Yeah.
Finally.
Are you gonna watch Fuller House?
Fuller
Jana
House.
has already watched the first season, and she said it was terrible. So
Yeah, that's what I heard.
luckily, I will not have to watch it.
I think it got
nice.
renewed for a second season though.
I think it did, but for those of you who might be interested in watching Full House, it is a good show. It ends on a very weird note because the show got canceled after the last
while you're
quote
ahead.
unquote season because the actors wanted too much money.
Douchebags.
Gosh, I know.
Screw
right?
you, Bob Saget.
Bob Saget, Stamos, God.
Oh my
And then also for Star Wars Day, I watched parts of Episode 1, so about 30 minutes of the movie.
The last bit of it.
No, I watched a little of the beginning.
Duel of Fates.
Episode 2, believe it or not, I watched more of Episode 2 than I did of Episode 1.
I'm sorry.
Geonosis stuff.
Watched
Geonosis stuff's kind of cool.
well,
Hey,
and
the last hour of that movie is on.
Geonosis stuff. I even watched the stuff on Camino and
Camino
like
stuff's
the
cool.
the
Django,
car chase at the beginning of the movie.
Django Fett.
Yeah, that's not
Well,
bad.
Django, you know,
It's the Anakin
It's
Padme
the
love
love
story.
scenes.
Hey,
That's-
it's the C story.
yeah.
I hate sin. It's Gorston and it chafes my butt cheeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I fast forward through that part. But then I did end up watching all of Episode 3.
Oh, baby,
Yeah.
let's go. Revenge
So,
of the Sith, best
yeah.
Star Wars movie ever.
Anyway,
Oh,
I won't
so
agree
good.
with that, but okay.
It's so good. Oh, dude,
You're like a brother to me.
Palpatine in his prime. Come on.
It's treason then.
Oh, dude,
And
what
is
a
that weird
great
scream?
movie. Oh my god.
All right, so I think my biggest complaint with that movie
Uh-oh.
is like how he just like
The Jedi
the
Council.
Jedi
Trashes.
Council is just.
He is the most powerful being in the
but those
universe.
guys didn't look like they'd ever wielded a lightsaber in their life.
They were surprised. They were walking in to get this
No.
old, frail politician
So-
and arrest him. And then he jumps out of nowhere with a lightsaber.
He stands up and he says it's treason, then draws his
And then he
lightsaber,
jumps
and
out the-
they're not sitting there like, oh
Well, then
no.
he twirls, and they're like, "What is happening?"
There's like 12 of them,
There's
4.
4 of
and
them.
there's only one person that stood a chance was Mace Windu.
Hey, and that is an epic fight.
That's a good fight.
That's
They're
good,
like,
okay.
if we're making a list of top 5 lightsaber fights in all of Star Wars,
That's
1,
number
2,
15.
3, 4, and 5 are from this movie.
All right.
At least 1, 2, and 3.
Like I said, are there 5 lightsaber battles?
Obi-Wan, Anakin, number 1 by a mile.
General
Okay.
I'm not gonna
Obi-Wan,
order.
Grievous,
That's good.
That's 2.
That's like a car chase
Yoda
scene,
and
like,
Palpatine,
Yeah.
Mace and Palpatine, Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whatever. That's a great fight.
the 30-second fight.
Do it. Yeah, bro. Come on. And Palpatine starts playing the
Is that it?
strings on
and then
Anakin. Come on.
Obviously, Anakin versus the younglings. Like, come on.
Hey, come on. Episode 3.
Oh,
Master
God.
Skywalker, what are we going to
Oh,
do?
bro, dagger to the heart. That like montage with the sad music, and then and then Plo Koon gets in the ship, and then Coyote Mundi gets, and then
Oh my gosh.
oh, dude, come on, this is brutal. It's
It's
tears,
brutal. Wow.
tears every time. I was
Wow.
like 12 years old.
Luckily, we have the Clone Wars to fill in the gaps.
Oh, baby, the Clone Wars. Let's
TV show, not movie.
well,
Right.
Hey. The movie.
Anyway.
the movie's okay.
Other stuff other than Star Wars that I watched.
Talk about Star Wars forever.
I watched the first episode of Most Dangerous Game.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
it's
when
very,
he
very
finds out about
good.
the game, but he thinks it's crazy.
Yep, and at the
Yeah.
because he's like dying and
At
he
the end,
needs
he's
money
like,
and all
yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And then for our top 5 westerns, which we're going to get into in a minute, I actually watched my top 3, which I'll save for when we get to that. Last thing I watched was a newer comedy special on Netflix called I'm gonna screw it up again. It's the guy's names Middleditch and Schwartz, and it's Ben Schwartz, who plays John Ralphio and other things from Parks and Rec.
He's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog and the new, yep, that's right. And then Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley, if you guys have ever
Yep.
seen or heard of that show. And the premise of it is they go to this theater for this show, and they say, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do a hour's worth of comedy, totally improv. And we're going to ask the audience a couple of questions, and we're going to just make it up as we go. And so like they ask about 5 or 6 questions to like one person about some thing, and then they just make it up on the fly, and it is hilarious.
It's got great reviews from what I've seen.
It is. I've only watched the first episode, but the first one was hilarious. Just to watch them, like, because they like think about it for like, I would say maybe 90 seconds, and then they just go. And it's so impressive to just see these 2 dudes that aren't super, super famous for like stand-up comedy to just get out there and just kill it.
Yeah.
And it's got certain things that don't always hit, but certain things that you're just like, And the way they think about it, because there's in this first one, there's this one bit, and even when they're doing it, they're like, I don't know why you're a ghost, but okay, whatever. We'll just keep going. And then they like bring it back around and they're like, oh my God. Like even to them, it was impressive. And it's just, that's what I think is really cool about it. So
That's funny. Does he play himself kind of, John Ralphio?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's,
No, I know. Does he like more like John Ralphio or is he like kind of a different style?
well, like in as a normal person, he's just kind of a everyday kind of nerdy guy, but there are certain characters that he'll bring in, like they obviously there are characters that they each play that are girls, and so they like flip-flop back and forth, and it's just their depth as actors is really funny.
That's interesting. Okay, so our top 5 tonight is top 5 westerns. This was a fun list because not very many people have watched a whole lot of Western movies.
This guy right here. Found that out.
Okay, my honorable mentions, I have 3 of them. One is called The Shootist with John Wayne. This is his last movie as an actor. And he won...
How old was he when
he didn't win an Academy Award. He won an Academy Award for True Grit.
Yes.
John Wayne, when he died, was like 70-something. And Shootist?
How old was he in Shootist?
70...
Oh, jeez.
Early 70s. I think he died like a few years after this movie came out.
Jeez.
This is one of the few movies that John Wayne actually dies in. And it's one of the few movies that he plays himself as an old man in. So it's kind of an interesting take on this like legendary, like superhero-like character as an old man.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like it a lot. Another one of my honorable mentions is called The Sons of Katie Elder. This is another John Wayne movie. He has 3 brothers in the movie, and they're the Sons of Katie Elder, and they're kind of like this team of gunfighters who go and like save the day in this town, and it's pretty cool. I think Dean Martin's in that movie, if I remember right. And then my other one is 3:10 to Yuma, which is Christian Bale and I want to say Hugh Jackman because they're in
Russell Crowe
together, but it's not. It's Russell Crowe, and it's kind of a modern Western, more modern Western, but it's still...
What's a remake?
It's kind of an older movie still.
Right?
It's set in older times, but it's more modern for us, I
more
guess.
recent.
More recently
Modern technology.
made.
Was shot by.
But it's a great movie. It's a fun take on kind of a Western story, but I like that one a lot too.
I have no honorable mentions. The
Hey.
5 here, I think the 5 Westerns I've seen.
That's okay.
Nice.
We got you covered.
Yeah.
No joke.
For me, it is I have 4. Is Young Guns 2. The first one is very good, but it's the second one is the better of them for me. It's all about Billy the Kid and his escapades. And then 3:10 to Yuma is also one of mine. I do really enjoy that movie for a more recent Western movie.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 are very similar in their subject matter of Tombstone, and the other one is called Wyatt Earp, and it's both about pretty much the same story, where it's Wyatt Earp as the marshal and things like that. And but whereas with Tombstone, it's only when he's in Tombstone. The other movie with Wyatt Earp is got Kevin Costner plays the Earp role. And it actually starts like when he's like a kid, and like he starts off as like a buffalo hunter.
Oh wow!
And then like when he goes to Dodge City, and then to Tombstone, and then beyond. So it's like it's the whole story, and it's also like a 3-hour movie.
That's really, really long.
But it's a good if you enjoy Tombstone.
It's good.
It's not as good as Tombstone. I will give it that, but it's good to have the other backstory, I guess.
It's interesting for sure. My number 5 is a movie called Silverado. I forget what year it came out. It's either late 80s or early 90s, but it's a good classic Western movie. Kind of similar to Magnificent Seven in a sense. Sort of like a team-up movie.
85.
85, nice. Dang, that's older than I thought. And anyway, it's a really good movie. It takes a little bit to get into it, but it is very, very good. It's kind of it's a weird era for Western movies because it's not like in the 60s, but it's also not like now. So it's like it tried to be like a 60s movie, but it had a little bit more modern technology, but not quite our technology. But it's still really, really good. I like it a lot.
That was your number 5?
Yeah.
My number 5 is a movie that's been mentioned twice already, 3:10 to Yuma.
Nice.
I think this is like honestly probably one of them because I've seen more Western TV shows like Gunsmoke and like Wild Wild West. So I'm more familiar with those than I am the movies, to be honest.
Yeah.
So this is probably I think one of the first Western movies I had actually saw because I remember watching this in like middle school. And man, the movie was like a little bloody, and so I remember being like, "Oh my god, I'm not allowed to watch this." And so that was a thing. But no, I think this was also probably my first Christian Bale movie, and I remember liking this a lot.
Oh, nice.
The journey to the end, and then the showdown at the end was really good. But yeah, very very solid Western movie.
No doubt.
Oh, Alan Tudyk was in this movie. I forgot about that.
Iverson.
Alan Iverson.
Tudyk was in what movie?
Talking about
3:10 to Yuma.
practice.
Was he really? Oh my god, I love that man. Wash.
Wash.
Keep talking about practice.
My number 5 is True Grit. The old one, the John Wayne one.
OG.
Not the Jeff Bridges one.
So this is actually my number
4. True Grit or
Yeah,
the
True
old
Grit.
one?
No, yeah, the old one.
So I'm a very big John Wayne fan, and apparently I've influenced AJ into it because he's mentioned 3 already.
Well, dude, so I don't know if I ever told the story on the show or not before, but literally when we were growing up, I would go spend the night at Paul's house all the time, and Paul had this like Western style bathroom with like the old like really cool
Like saloon doors?
like saloon doors that like pop open. I thought that was so cool. You like
I gotta take a leak.
Gotta pee.
thought that was so cool. And then literally, I would say 3 out of 4 times I went over to Paul's house, we'd watch a Western movie.
Yeah,
And 9 times out of 10, it was a John Wayne Western movie.
that's very true.
And so I've seen, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 Westerns. And I just love John Wayne movies. And Paul's a huge reason why. But yeah, dude, I love True Grit. It's probably... It's not my favorite John Wayne movie on my list. It's my second favorite, but it's the one that won him an Oscar.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for it.
He does such a great job.
Yeah, he. If you've watched the new one, it's the same-ish story of the girl whose father gets murdered by a guy he employs, and she goes and hires Rooster Cogburn to hunt him down.
Yeah.
Whereas the newer movie with Jeff Bridges is a very well-made movie. I just didn't enjoy it near as much because it wasn't John Wayne. I'm very biased. I agree. I admit. No problem there.
Right.
Because John Wayne, when they did this movie, like the idea was to have him be the real quiet, like mutter, like you can barely understand him type. But John Wayne said, "No, I'm not doing that." It's like, I'm doing it how I do movies, and you can either like it or hate it.
It worked.
Well, I
Fair
think
And
this is
it
his most
worked.
iconic role too, because he's a little bit different than he normally is.
Yeah,
He's a little bit more out there, but he's still himself too.
right.
It's more like a wild card version of John Wayne.
Yeah,
which is
because
really
I mean,
interesting.
with a lot of John Wayne movies, you see it's a Western movie. You see them going into a saloon and drinking and things like that. But with this movie, he actually like gets drunk like multiple times, and that's not really a John Wayne thing.
Yep.
But to just see him, and there's some funny moments, some serious moments in that, and so it is a different kind of a spin on that. But I really enjoy it. Just
sure.
John Wayne in general.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. That's my number 4. I agree.
My number 4 is True Grit, but it's the
new one.
because that's
Hey.
the one I've seen. I'm sure if I've seen the old one, it'd probably flip flop.
Need to watch
But
that.
I like Jeff Bridges, and then
He does a good job.
Yeah, I can say, like I
Yeah.
said, it is a well done,
Yeah.
good
It's just
movie.
hard to-
It's just
It's hard to compare.
no, it's I've seen a lot more like I guess modern westerns like I
Girl
said
is more
earlier.
likable.
the girl actress does a much better job.
Much more
Yeah, that's
likable
fine.
in this movie than
Yeah.
the old one. She's so annoying. She does a fine job. Like her character's supposed to be like that. It's just it's almost too much to take it sometimes because she's like,
annoying
just
child.
Leave her at home.
Go do it yourself.
Yeah, literally. It's
But yeah, no, the new one was good. I like the story. I like a lot of the Western stories, as simple as they might be. Most times, just pretty much good versus evil. Here's this, here's that. Go shoot him.
yeah.
Like you said, it's very well made. And
Yeah.
then Jeff Bridges is like one of my under the radar like best actors. I know a lot of people think
He's
he's
really
great, but
good.
like
He's
for
good.
me, he's someone I would constantly forget about, and then I'm like, yeah, he's in Tron.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you got Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon. The girl is becoming more and more famous.
Seyfried?
Yeah, I forget her name.
No, I don't remember.
I'll look it up.
But then Josh Brolin
Yes.
is the bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an all-star cast.
It's a good movie. It's just not.
Yeah, we're biased.
It's just
like
not
we
John
said.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Matt Damon. Holy crap.
Matthew Damon.
And Josh Brolin. Jeff Bridges is the bad guy in
And Domhnall Gleeson.
Iron Man, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Admiral Hux.
First Iron Man.
Yeah.
Roy Lee Jones.
Yep.
There's a lot of people in the movie. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Tony Stark built this in a cave
Yeah.
with a pile of scraps.
Yelling at Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's who that is.
Yep.
Anyway, that's my favorite Jeff Bridges line of all time.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. Best Jeff Bridges line ever.
My number 4 is a Tom Selleck movie called Quigley Down Under, and very similar Western story of that. A lot of them were they're like hired guns after the Civil War because they were good at killing people and stuff like that. And so
There were no laws
there were no
anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, we watched this movie together, Callie, or we watched Magnificent Seven. And Callie's like, did they just like not care? Like,
No, it's the Wild
did
West.
Nobody have any rules.
No rules.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, there's one rule.
Yep.
There's one.
Fastest gun wins.
Yep, exactly. But it's a Tom Selleck movie. He gets hired by Alan Rickman, actually, in to basically be a hunter in Australia.
Severus Snape.
Yep. And turns out that he, he was hired. He thought to hunt animals, and ends up he's actually hired to hunt the Aborigine people. So it's very a lot of racist undertones, and Tom Selleck's like, no, I'm not doing that. You are an idiot. You suck. And so he then has to turn on the guy that hired him, and it's a pretty good movie because it's also different because with a lot of westerns, it's all about the guys like with the 6-shooters on the hips and everything.
Ooh, yeah.
And Tom Selleck doesn't wear a 6-shooter; he carries a rifle,
Like a sniper.
which is he's like a sniper kind of thing, and it's a very different like take on
That's pretty cool.
things
though.
like that. It's a really cool movie.
Mandalorian style.
Yeah, kind of.
Walks around with that gigantic
Gigantic rifle.
Incinerator.
rifle
Yeah,
that
and then-
disintegrates people.
Yeah, very similar actually.
What does that gun do? My number 3 is Rio Bravo. In my opinion, this is the best John Wayne movie. It's got Dean Martin and then this old guy named Stumpy. I don't know the actor's name. His character's name is Stumpy.
I think it's
And he is hilarious. I told you guys, I think, about this last time. He has like the limp and he can't really leave the jail. He has a shotgun and just like points at the door constantly.
his name is Walter Brennan.
He's a really funny guy. And there's a young actor named
Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson, yeah, and he's in the movie too, Colorado. And anyway, I love this movie partially because of the story, but also partially because of the cast. John Wayne, Dean Martin, and then Stumpy. And then Ricky Nelson actually does a great job in the movie too.
I love Western movies character names.
Yep.
Dean Martin's character name was Dude.
Dude. The dude.
Is not.
Dude.
That's awesome.
And then
Colorado.
Colorado,
Colorado's a cool name.
Stumpy.
Stumpy. I like Rio Bravo a lot. I always get it confused with Rio Lobo.
Yep.
Because Rio Lobo is like the one where John Wayne like shoots the rifle, and the guy gets the rifle stuck in the dirt, and the dirt like
Yes.
explodes the rifle at the end of the movie.
It's
3.
Classic. Number 3.
Mine's probably one of the most recognizable names in Western movies. It's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, love it,
One of the only like old Westerns I've seen. Clint
dude.
Eastwood himself, Mr. Poncho,
dude. The Man with No Name.
the man with
That's
no name.
such a
Sir.
good trilogy.
Yeah, and
Spaghetti
like,
Western.
That's one that's referenced a lot. I've seen that that's referenced in video games. It's just
Oh, yeah.
that movie is probably like its arms feel like or hands feel like
and
it's
the
in
way
everything.
the way that movie's shot, like just some of the famous shots of like the low shot of just the hand on the
Yeah.
on the gun. Yeah.
like with the villain or whoever in the shot on
Yep.
in the background with the hand in the foreground, like those kind, like the Mandalorian literally uses that shot in the pilot.
Yeah.
where he puts his hand down and it shows that shot. I mean, that movie is so iconic. for
Yes,
so
it
many
is, and
reasons.
it's so good too. I mean,
The music for sure.
yeah.
is
So I mean,
famous,
I
obviously.
feel like this is in your like top 5 or top 7 or whatever. Like then,
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, maybe you're more intellectual in westerns than I am, but
Yeah. No, I love
no,
it.
it's a good one
yeah,
I love
for
that
sure. My number 3, is that where we are?
Mm-hmm.
Is, and this is actually the start of the movies that I've watched, is Open Range. And it's Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall. It's a more recent, I want to say late 2000s, 2007, 2000, something like that. But it's another big story that was in a lot of Westerns. If you weren't like the hired gun, you were the cattle rustler. And so it's like they're, doing the whole cattle train from wherever to wherever. Like, we got to get these cows from Texas to Kansas or something. It doesn't say, but so that's what they're doing. And they stop off in this, like, near this town, and they obviously don't own the land, so the cows just eat whatever. And then the people who own that land don't like it. They're like, we don't like you eating on our cows, free grazing on our land and all this stuff. And it's a really weird, like, way, like, for now anyway, to think about, like, well, that's their job. They got to eat somehow, like, like, but.
Are they like, okay, boomer?
You're right, exactly. But so then, like, one of the landowners ends up killing one of their friends. And so it's a whole, like, revenge trip from then on.
Oh, shoot. Kevin Costner himself?
Dude, and Kevin Costner does really well.
He's just a great actor.
I think he directed this one too, actually.
Underrated.
He is my least favorite character in Man of Steel.
What? Are you serious?
He's like his son's Superman, and he's like, no, stop. Let me die. I'm like, he could save you, and he could be there and back in a half second.
I love Kevin Costner's character in Man
That's
of
like
Steel.
the dumbest decision.
That's a great character.
Diego Luna is in this movie. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Oh
my gosh, yeah.
Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
Old Cassian. I think he's getting a spin-off show.
He is.
He is getting a spin-off show.
Him and K2 as well.
Oh, and K2. My number 2 is actually The Good and the Bad, the Ugly. I love this movie. I love that whole trilogy with The Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More.
Yep.
With The Man with No Name and the pawn show and the spaghetti western and the music and the really, really long single shots that last forever. And then the, like, literally, like, squinty shots of, like, just their eyes, and they're
That's
like,
all Clint Eastwood ever does. He's like,
it's just like,
he
oh
doesn't
my.
actually see the full picture. He just like squints the
Like,
whole
oh my
time.
God.
he sees in widescreen view.
Yeah, and he smokes those, like, little, like, rolled cigarettes.
Yeah.
And, anyway, Good and Bad and Ugly is my favorite of the 3, but those 3 all together are kind of, like, on my list.
Yeah.
I love The Good and the Bad and the Ugly because my favorite character in this movie is actually the bad guy. The guy who wears all black.
Okay, yeah.
He's awesome.
Super cool Western
He
attire.
is awesome.
Yeah.
I love his
There's
character.
always that guy who wears all black.
You're
He's
like,
cool.
"You're cool."
He's smooth. He's great with a gun. He's good at manipulating people. Like, he's just, like, he's the kind of bad guy you want to be if you're going to be a bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love Clint Eastwood's character in this movie, too, obviously. But the ugly guy is, like, he's funny. He's kind of the comedic relief in this movie.
Yes.
But the bad guy is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's such a great movie. Such an iconic scene when they're all standing there with the Mexican standoff. Dude,
Forever.
so good. Oh, yeah, literally for like the last 45 minutes of the movie. It's like a 3-hour movie.
It is a long movie.
Yeah, I love that.
Did you guys ever watch Bonanza?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the brother that wore all black? He wasn't in like all the episodes. He was like the cool brother. He was my favorite character only because he wore all black.
He wore all black. Yeah.
It's like Jeff Lowe in Tiger King.
My number 2 is another iconic movie that I think a lot of people consider like some of their favorite movies of all time, but Tombstone.
Ooh,
You mentioned it earlier.
Tombstone's very
Tombstone.
good.
Tombstone.
And this one has just got so many good characters, like Sam Elliott, and then Batman,
Ben Affleck.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer,
Ben Affleck.
I hope you guys know I was joking. 'Cause
Martha.
I know who Val Kilmer is.
Yeah,
I was.
but no, just,
But no, yeah, it's Val
All-star
Kilmer,
cast.
Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, and Sam Elliott. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like like a Magnificent Seven kind of thing, like
Yeah.
a bunch of
Yeah.
They're all brothers.
bunch of root tooting guys, and
Doc. Plus Doc. Doc Holliday's such a great character.
Yeah.
I'll be your Huckleberry. My uncle says that all the time. Jason.
That's funny.
He's out.
Yeah, not me.
Not
no.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
I think he actually is coming out with a book or something or other called that. Val
Kilmer?
Kilmer. Yeah.
That's
Such a
cool.
good
That
movie.
sucks what happened to his voice, man. He was so cool.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
He was a great actor.
Saint. You guys ever seen Saint?
Saint is a great movie.
I like that one a lot. Batman is like not good. but-
Fantastic. Come on, the Riddler? Jim Carrey?
Tommy Lee?
Yeah,
out.
Two-Face way better than the other Two-Face in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, the pink
Take
face.
that back.
Yeah, come on. At
that.
least it's comic book accurate.
Take
Like,
that
Right.
Ah,
My number 2 is actually the movie we're going to be reviewing tonight.
Nice.
So Magnificent Seven.
nice.
So you will have to wait to hear my thoughts on that movie.
Ooh,
Awesome.
spooky.
My number 1 is Tombstone. Tombstone is one of my favorite movies of all time. It was either in my top 25 last time or got booted out. I think it got booted out from my original list, but it was on my honorable mentions for this last time around. So it's in my top 30, top 35 movies of all time. One of my favorites. Like Luke said, all-star cast, just an overall great movie. From the scene where the last brothers leave Tombstone and it's just Kurt and Doc by themselves, like Kurt Russell. And I said Kurt and Doc. Anyway, Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer stay. From that point on, it's just like pure butt whooping for the rest of the movie. Those scenes are amazing. So good. And he gets the cowboys together and they hunt all the guys with the sashes and what. Oh, dude.
Probably Sam Elliott's second best movie, right next to The Man That Killed Hitler and then The Bigfoot.
My favorite Sam Elliott movie, believe it or not, is We Were Soldiers.
Oh,
he is so good in that movie.
Yeah, he does have a good role in that movie.
We Were Soldiers, this guy walks by and says, "What a great lovely day we're having today, sir." He goes, "I don't talk about the effing weather." And he just keeps walking. That's such a baller line. I don't care about the effing weather. Anyway, I love Tombstone, man. What a great movie. To me, that's just a classic Western. That is the perfect, quintessential Western movie. Got all the cool gunfights.
Cool black cloaks.
Yeah, you got the cool lines, the one-liners. You got all the drama with the gunfight. I mean, it's just such a great movie.
A bunch of root-tooting cowboys out there having a good time.
Yeah. Oh, such a great movie.
My number 1 is a modern Western in every sense of the word. It is, shot modern. It is modern day times, but Hell or High Water. Quith Pine.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, plays Texas Ranger and whatnot. Him and his Indian sidekick, who are awesome in the movie. But no, it's two brothers have to go get they need some money, and so they go rob some banks and stuff, and then they go to Oklahoma one part, and you're like, shout out to Oklahoma. They go to a casino, of course. But no, it's beautifully acted, beautifully shot. It's a great story about the two brothers.
Watch that one.
And isn't Ben Foster the other brother? He was also in 3:10 to Yuma and Lone Survivor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and no, it is great. It's like 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes. It's very, very highly rated. I think it might have been up for some Oscars. I can't remember. If not, everyone's like, it got snubbed. But no, this movie's pretty great.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. It's probably one of my top 50 movies of all time if I had to sit down and think about it.
Nice.
Yeah. Paul?
Lone Ranger.
Annihilation. Oh.
You ever see
Johnny Depp Lone Ranger.
You ever see Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp?
Oh, no.
And
did you ever see it?
No,
Archie Hammer.
Archie Hammer, yeah.
No. My number 1 is another John Wayne movie called El Dorado.
Yeah.
And it's
The guy who looks like Dean Martin?
the guy.
But it's not Dean Martin?
Yeah.
I think it's just Dean Martin.
Maybe.
It's probably Dean Martin's brother.
It's Robert
Martin.
Mitchum, and it's the
Robert
guy
Mitchum,
who's actually the narrator of Tombstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. But it's
It's funny.
John Wayne, same kind of thing.
Yep.
Hired gun,
Yep.
ends up finding out the person who he's going to be hired to kill ends up being one of his friends,
James Caan.
who's the sheriff. Yep, and James Caan is in it as well. Very young James Caan. But he decides not to kill his friend, and then he goes off for a few months and then finds out his friend is now turned into a drunk and has to go help save him. Because the
Mississippi.
other guy has hired a almost better gunfighter than John Wayne. But yeah, and then we run into James Caan, whose character's name is Alan Badillion Traherne.
That's what I'm talking about.
So his nickname is Mississippi.
I'm gonna name my child that.
Badillion.
What do you call yourself?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, because every time he says it and to John Wayne the first time, and John Wayne goes, Lord Almighty. And he's like, yeah, that's why everybody calls me Mississippi.
Well, and then he's a horrible shot, and so
Yes.
he carries a little sawed-off shotgun kind of pistol shotgun thing, and he still misses with the shotgun.
Yeah, because when John Wayne meets him, the guy he actually ends up killing again, it's a whole revenge thing. The said guy killed Mississippi's guy who raised him.
Yeah.
So Mississippi kills him, and he's not wearing a gun or anything. And they're like, "What's gonna happen?" And he pulls a knife from the back of his shirt and throws it and kills the guy. And they're all just like, "Whoa,
what?"
Mississippi.
So it's good.
James
That's
Good
number
stuff.
one.
Classic. That's a
AJ,
great movie.
AJ, I'm surprised the Three Amigos isn't your top 5.
Dude, I do
That's
love me
definitely
some,
a Western.
I do love me some Three Amigos. Oh, dude, I love Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is so fun.
Martin
Steve
Short,
Martin is
Steve
Martin Short are
Martin.
pretty funny too. But
Yeah.
Chevy Chase,
Chevy Chase is great.
man. Oh, dude, Community, come on, Chevy Chase and Community is so good.
Well, that's our top 5 Westerns.
Yeah,
Top
dude,
5 Westerns.
we haven't done Western before. This is our first one.
Yes,
So
yes.
super fun. Okay, Paul, what do
Give
you
us
got?
the deets.
Yeah, let me grab my little paper here.
Magnificent Seven. 2016, 2017?
2016.
Nice.
Directed by Antoine Fuqua. 7 gunmen from a variety of backgrounds are brought together by a vengeful young widow to protect her town from the private army of a destructive industrialist.
Wow, that is
He is destructive.
It is
Blowing stuff up.
verbose.
verbose.
A lot of big words there for a 4th grade reading level that I have.
Verbose is a big word, throwing that around.
Verbose.
So the actors are, and this is pretty much the 7 main guys and the bad guy: Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, Byung-Hun Lee, Manuel Garcia Rulfo, and Martin Sinsmeyer. Man, a lot of people's names I can't understand.
What a sneaking cast.
What a stinking cast. And then the bad guy was Peter Sarsgaard,
Skarsgård.
who is the
Is he related
his
to
brother.
the other Skarsgård?
His brother is the guy who played It in the new movies.
So he's not related to Skarsgård.
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
I forget the other guy's name. Something Skarsgård with an S.
From Chernobyl and
Yeah.
Thor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I do know that he's related to the guy who's playing Pennywise from the new It movies.
Plays him beautifully.
Budget of $90 million, earned $162 million, so got its money back, but not by a whole lot.
Sucks. I think that's the name of the game for Westerns nowadays,
Dude,
really.
yeah, it really is, because the IMDb rating was a 6.9, Rotten Tomatoes of 64, and a Meta of 54.
He's married to, Sarsgaard's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal. Do we know that?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Take a gander there.
Okay. Let's jump in. First section we score movies based on is the idea/premise.
Ersh.
So for me, this is a remake of a remake
Or of a
of a different movie.
Sort of.
yeah.
So Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai.
And then this
The story is
original
based
version of this
off
movie.
like the 1960 whatever.
And
Yep.
then this movie.
with
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen and dang it.
Leonardo
Keep going.
DiCaprio.
I'm gonna figure it out.
John Wayne. It's
not John Wayne.
It's not John Wayne. Idea/premise. For me, I said this is a cool version of an old story. So I took points away for it being a remake of a remake. And
Yeah.
not even just a remake of a remake, but a remake of a really, really popular movie, Seven Samurai, that's
Yeah.
been redone and rehashed a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yul Brynner is the
Yul
Denzel
Brynner. There
character.
you go.
Charlie Bronson's in it. The guy from the ugly guy from Good and Bad and the
yeah,
Ugly.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry.
I said it's a cool version of an old story, and like I said, the story's been told a bunch of times. I think of even the Mandalorian episode from season 1. Whenever they go to that planet and
The green planet.
they hire Mando and the chick to I forget her name every time. I want to say
Cara Dune?
Aura Singh.
Yeah.
Not Aura Singh.
Not
It's
Aura
Cara
Singh.
Dune. And they hire them to like protect the village and like teach
Yeah.
the villagers how to
Yeah.
fight. And so it's like that idea. And that idea has been used over and over and over and
Yeah,
over.
like in the earlier you said the Chris Pratt thing, like with the eight boxes and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What?
Replace not the
Replacements.
Terminator.
no, not Terminator. No, I'm trying to think of the movie name.
Oh crap.
You said it earlier in the podcast.
Today?
Yes, you said
Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger and Rocky. And
Expendables.
Expendables. There we go. I was getting there.
It's like, what on
But,
earth
you
are
know,
you talking
Chris
about?
Pratt said the line
I
that
was
we were
like-
talking about.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Pratt and Arnold Schwarzenegger have never been in a movie together.
He's married to her daughter, though.
Yeah,
or his
yeah,
daughter,
his
though.
daughter.
I knew that,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, just getting in that, like,
That's
you know,
funny. Yeah,
bunch
yeah.
of big megastars together
I
to
got
do,
you.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a cool,
Something like that.
It is a cool spin on that story. So
Yeah.
I gave
Yeah,
it
yeah.
credit for that, but I also took points away.
Yeah.
I love Denzel's character having a little bit of a shady past. You don't know what it is at first. You kind of figure
Right.
it out later.
There's something.
And that's
happened
kind
to
of
him.
part of the setup. I love the first 10 minutes of this movie. Some of the best parts of the movie are the very, very beginning with the setup of the villain and the setup of the situation in the town. So for me, those reasons, this section is a strength, but at the same time, it was really hard to give this section a good score because it is such a recycled idea. So I gave it a 6. Sounds kind of low. Honestly, I feel like that's pretty good for me personally because of it did some really, really innovative things, but it also kind of leaned on some other things that had been done before. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same track with you. I gave it a 5. It's something. It's like the thing is with this, it's an incredibly cool story.
Yeah, for
an
sure.
idea and premise. That's why they can rehash it so many times
Yeah.
into different iterations.
No doubt.
Like the book I'm reading right now is called The Magnificent Nine. It's it's based off the world of Firefly, and it's basically the same thing. Like people need help, they reach out for help, they come. There's some guy terrorizing the town. These people
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yep.
But I think it's like it's hard because it's one of those stories like you just can't stop like taking in content for it because it's just so cool.
Right. Yeah.
And
well, it's even like comic book, like superhero-esque in the sense of
yeah.
normal people need to be protected from a villain,
Right.
and then they hire or these superhero-like
Yeah.
characters with their individual powers
Yeah.
come to save the day. Like, Chris Pratt has his power and Ethan Hawke has his power and whatever. Like, they
Yeah,
don't have
their
superpowers,
specialties.
obviously, but they have like their like
Thing.
skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's very like it's very
You
much
can't
like,
go
Yeah.
wrong with getting those types of actors together,
Oh,
though.
right.
Yeah,
like
no doubt.
Denzel and Chris Pratt, like you absolutely
doubt.
cannot go wrong.
no doubt.
And so I mean, great job on the casting because those guys played everyone great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I always like watching this movie. I've seen it probably 3 times. I've enjoyed it every single time. So
Yeah. So I am, just because I'm such a Western person, I am a little biased with this. This also was my pick, so again, a little biased, but I agree with everything you said. Very overdone. Again, agree, but I do feel like I was a little more generous. But I agree with what AJ said of the beginning was so stellar, and the
So good.
setup was so good. Even
good.
into the setup of meeting each of the new characters. Like when we meet Denzel and he goes into that town and he meets Chris Pratt, and then we go and Chris Pratt meets Goodnight and Billy, and then just all of that character setup just really helped. But the beginning of it for me, of really not a whole lot of movies do that, where right up front you get why we hate the bad guy.
Yeah.
So I felt like that did it really
Especially
well.
Westerns.
Especially
They
Westerns.
wait till later. Yeah.
And so I gave the section an 8.
Nice. Our next section is character, which kind of leads right in what Paul's saying, leads right into this section. So for me, the points that I kind of took away for idea/premise, I kind of gave them in character because the characters were so strong. I mean, this movie is about characters. I mean, it's called The Magnificent Seven for a reason. And so that, to me, is the strength of the movie. That's the backbone of the movie.
Yeah.
Led by Denzel, which Denzel's character, like I said earlier, is interesting. You're not sure why, and it kind of
Wears
becomes
all
more
black.
and more clear.
Obviously,
The coolest because he has all black clothes. Duh.
Chris Pratt's character is my favorite because it's Chris Pratt, and I love Chris Pratt.
Well, yeah.
Dadoy.
The doy.
Who says that in Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Is that...
The Charles?
I can't remember if it's Charles or if it's the...
I feel like it's.
I think it's
Charles.
Scully and Hitchcock.
I think it's said a few times, but yeah.
Anyway, I love Chris Pratt's character. He's so funny, but he's also actually a really interesting character who develops probably the most.
Ish, yeah.
Him and Goodnight are probably the two most developed characters.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight? Goodnight? I said good night this time, right?
Yeah, you did it right.
Okay, anyway, I was not going to make that mistake again. Anyway, so I think those two characters develop the most, but for
Yeah.
the rest of the characters, there's a very little development that takes place.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the hairy guy.
D'Onofrio's character.
D'Onofrio's character.
He's
What's his-
awesome.
Jack Horn.
Jack Horn. I love his introduction whenever he like comes off the mountain and like tomahawks that guy.
Yeah.
You're like, what is
Talks in
happening?
that high pitched voice.
He's like, "Er." Yeah. And then Chris Pratt's like, you guys see that bear wearing people's clothes? I was like, oh my gosh, that's really.
They stole my property.
They stole that. Yeah. Anyway, I like his character. He's very funny. He's kind of the
Yeah.
comic relief other than Chris Pratt's character. He's probably my favorite side character.
I agree.
But anyway, there's such a fun arrangement of characters. I gave it an 8 for that reason. The reason I kind of didn't quite go to a 9 or a 10 was because of the lack of development overall. Like I said, Chris Pratt develops kind of from like a selfish gunslinger in it for the money to a person who's willing to sacrifice himself for the team, but also sacrifice himself for the
The
village
mission.
itself, for the mission. Yeah. And then obviously Goodnight's character, he kind of develops from kind of being a cool like wild card character into like being a coward, and then coming back full circle to being like a cool character again.
Yeah.
The other reason I took some points away here is because not every single character, but most of the characters feel very, I'm trying to think of the best word, like placeholder-esque, in the sense of like this is an archetype for the lead character. Denzel, slot there. Here's the classic funny guy who's still pretty cool, pretty talented character. Slide Chris Pratt in there.
Very one note.
Yeah, and it's very much we need this from this character, therefore this person does this job. And it's very much like it feels almost too much of a like we picked this person for this reason and they're going to play this like role in general, rather than actually kind of going into each character and letting them kind of evolve and develop over time. It just kind of feels like they're, like you said, very one note throughout. Especially Jack Horn's character, Billy's character,
Red Heart?
Red Heart's character, and the other charter, the Mexican character.
Martinez?
Bendejo. Isn't that what he calls him? What does he call him in the movie?
I don't. He calls it. Well, he calls Chris Pratt Güero.
Güero, that's what he called. Yeah. And anyway, the little banter between them is very funny.
Yes.
But I gave it an 8. I feel like that's a pretty good score for me. Really trying to give points for what they did. Vasquez. For what they did well, but also take points away for their kind of like it was very, very good, but it wasn't quite 9 or 10 worthy for me.
Yeah. I gave this section. Look at this yawn through me.
Wonderful section that was.
Yeah.
What does Bendejo mean?
Dumb A.
That's funny. I feel like I don't know. What does Güero mean?
I don't remember. I think it's like dog or something or other like that. I can't. Or I don't remember.
Pero is dog. I don't know what Güero is.
I don't remember.
That's funny. Anyway, sorry. What'd you give it?
I gave section. I gave section a 7. I gave
Nice.
character a 7.
Nice.
I gave it a 7. I mean, kind of like you said, like they're cool characters, but like to me, they didn't give them enough to really develop them or anything. It's like kept trying to feel like they did that a little bit. Like I didn't really believe Goodnight's development
Yeah.
for a second.
It feels a little forced.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
like,
you mean you didn't believe whenever he left, he was like,
yeah, I mean it's predictable. And the title movie is called The Magnificent 7, not The Magnificent 6.
well,
so you
like
knew
the
he
best,
was gonna come
the
back.
best shot's not gonna leave and never come back.
Yeah, I mean, so that was a little bit predictable, but like, I mean, it felt like they tried to give him something. I gave it a 7 just because all the characters are so cool and like they're good in their own right, and like I think the development for some of them was good enough, especially like Chris Pratt's like you know becoming that unselfish person, like that was good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, it's just there wasn't a whole lot there for me. The characters are great though, like cool wise and personality and everything. They all fit and they're able to have that banter and stuff. They're not all so similar. They're different enough to where they all have different opinions on things. They have different this, different that. So the diversity of characters is good as well. Having the Native American, the hunter trapper guy, Vincent D'Onofrio, the ranger, pretty much, and Denzel, the jokester guy, and
Yeah.
So good job on that. Good job on casting.
I like the Asian guy too, Billy with the knives. Like that's a
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
spin, kind of on a Western character.
Mhm.
To like in a gunfight type of world to still use those throwing knives and stuff.
Yeah.
He kills that guy with a hairpin, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think of the girl character?
I thought she was good. I thought she was really good. I liked her. I think like her motives were obviously like justified and everything, and she was able to hold her own. So something I really like about this is like, so every time they try and do like have like the strong woman role in a movie, it's like it's just very like it feels forced. It's this.
Right.
Hers felt like it came very natural, and
Yeah.
it's very. She was like a great
Yeah.
shot. She could hold her own. It felt very natural, and it was like that's something I really appreciate about that. And like so, I really liked her character.
She felt like Eowyn, kind of, a little bit.
Oh, from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's kind of the character vibe I got from her.
Gotcha.
Theoden's niece.
Being like, because Denzel tells her not to fight multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. And she ends up fighting anyway and saving people's lives. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
she saves Denzel's
At least she
life.
doesn't have a cheesy line like, "I am no man."
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, God, that's my least favorite part of that movie. Like, she can have that whole arc and everything, and I'm cool with it. But just like
The
doing that, I'm
dialogue
just like,
was. Yeah.
AJ's currently dying right now. If anyone's curious.
Oh, I totally forgot about that part. But I actually don't mind that line. It doesn't bother me. I
that
don't
line
necessarily
kills me.
like it, but I'm not gonna be able to watch that scene ever again and not laugh.
like
And
her,
not think of
Dang
Luke.
it, Luke.
her entire arc is completely fine until
Yeah.
that line. It's just like, oh.
Takes her helmet off.
It's almost like in Avengers Endgame where like they have the woman team up part
the
and they're
team
like
up scene.
they're like, don't worry, she's got help.
She's
and,
got
and
help.
it's just like you didn't need that.
Yeah, you didn't need the dialogue.
Like you could have done the same thing, just been like,
No
don't worry or
words
whatever.
needed.
Yeah, like
We'll just have her fly through there and all these girls helping her. You don't have to
Yeah.
say that.
show, don't tell.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. She was good.
Are we still talking about Lord of the Rings? Or are
No,
we
I'm
talking about
talking,
Magnificent Seven?
I'm talking about the girl. I forget her name.
Magnificent
Emma.
Seven.
Who, Emma?
I think her name's like Haley Bennett. Her
Her real name.
Emma.
Here, I got it.
forget. I forget her real
Yep,
name.
Haley Bennett.
Boom.
Anyway, I liked her character. She verged on the point of being like the girl from True Grit at times, of being like, I'm paying for this journey. Y'all better love me and be a part of it.
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
kind of mentality. I was like, okay, like you gotta tone it down here. This is not the Magnificent Eight. Okay, you're not a part of the team. Like part of you, like I felt like that at moments.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
it paid off in the end. Like
Yeah.
Right.
like she came full circle.
Yes.
Because she's obviously the one who gets the band together. She's the one who suffers the most personally at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's her personal kind of like vendetta. She's like, I'll take revenge, which I did not like that line in particular. What does she say? She said, you seek revenge? She says, I seek justice. But I'll take revenge. And I was like, oh. I mean, it's kind of a cool line, but at the same time, I was like, kind of. I couldn't decide what I thought of that line.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about like? So I actually like at the end of the movie, I liked her being the one that killed the bad guy.
Yeah.
I like that
I thought you were about. Sorry, I thought you were going a different direction.
because you
I
like.
thought you were going for the voiceover thing at the very end of the movie.
No, I'm talking about when she. Shoots,
I got you.
What's
When
his
he
name?
shoots the bad guy, I liked her killing the bad guy.
I
thought that was good.
I
a
thought
cool,
that was two really good
it's a
character
cool
moments
finishing touch to the movie.
because Denzel, he's having a moment of like the whole movie. He is very like on guard, on point, everything. And that moment he shows like vulnerability, and he's about to pay
So he's
for it.
tempted to kill this guy.
Yeah, and then she does it, which I mean, it comes for full circle. Like the guy killed her husband,
Right.
and then this
Right.
and that, and it's. I
Well,
like
she
that moment
even
a lot.
says that she would kill him. I think in the movie she even talks about that.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I thought that was cool.
I thought she worked though, and
Yeah. She did.
bring it all together, I
She
think
totally
she
did.
worked.
I was worried there for a second. I was like, man, she's pushing it. And then
Yeah.
she chilled it out, and she became a good character. What'd you think, Paul?
So I agree with everything that was said. First of all, a little backtrack. Wero doesn't actually have an English translation.
Interesting.
It's just a Spanish word for a fair complexioned
For a gringo.
American.
Just call him a
gringo.
white guy.
Yeah, just another word for gringo,
It's
but
more
of
slang
a
term for a gringo.
more pretty gringo, because like Chris Pratt's like all
He's
like
like
pretty,
pretty
looking
yeah,
and
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
got the
okay.
pretty hair and things like that.
I got you.
That's what that means. Anyway,
Interesting.
I really enjoyed my I enjoyed all of the characters. All of the 7 guys had their moments. I loved how, and I mean, yes, I'll agree that not all of them developed a whole lot. I do feel like on a little bit of a level, each one of them did. Like, I mean, if I was really to break it down, yeah, Denzel went from being like just the, he was always the good guy of like hunting down villains and taking him to justice or whatever.
Right.
But it kind of, did turn. He almost went the other way of like kind of having this mission be about the guys.
Became a vigilante almost.
Yeah, the guy who.
Yep.
Or hunting the guy who killed his family.
A little vengeful.
Yep.
But then it ended up not turning that way because in the end, Emma did end up killing him, and so it was like a different twist. Yeah, like you said with Chris Pratt and Goodnight.
Yep.
Billy, I mean, like I said, the rest of him very little bit. He was just kind of there for the ride.
Yeah.
And then he
throw hairpins.
Yeah.
He was just a cool action.
Because I mean,
guy.
Right, and like he could have left when Goodnight left because he was really following good, but he didn't.
True.
He stayed.
That's true.
With Jack Horn, it was kind of because he at first, like when they went to find him, he wasn't going to follow him,
Right.
and then he actually ended up going and things like that. And he's actually probably my favorite side character, also.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like the relationship he builds, like with a bunch of the other like even more side character people.
Yeah.
Like the Teddy guy.
Yeah.
Because he ends up saving him. And then Ken Hotate shoots him with an arrow through the hand.
We haven't talked about Ken Hotate. Okay, so random side note. Parks and Rec, there's a character, reappearing character. His name is Ken Hotate, and he's like the Indian chief of like the Wamapoke Indians, which don't actually exist in real life. But they're like a fake Indian tribe in Indiana. And he is hilarious on Parks and Rec. So funny. And he's like the villain Indian in this movie. And I saw him and I was like, that is Ken Hotate. And Cal was like, no, it's not. And I was like, that's Ken Hotate. It's just like, oh my gosh, you're right. And so then from that point on, I could not take him seriously.
I couldn't take him seriously
Especially
either.
the scene in the saloon at the end whenever he's like,
where he fights Red Harvest.
I was like, this is a really cool scene, but this is ridiculous.
See, I didn't remember him being in Parks and Rec, and so I was fully in. I was like, this is awesome.
I was watching Parks and Rec. I was in the middle of like season 6 or 7 when I watched this movie.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and literally I was like, I cannot believe that's who that is. Because he's like has like this really like chopped off sleeve with like this armband, and he's like,
he's supposed to look really tough.
I was like, I can't take you seriously.
I mean, yes, if you take that away,
no, yeah, 100%. He's a good character.
You're a disgrace, is what it is.
Yeah,
but yeah, so then Jack kind of did a little bit, and even Red Harvest of being a loner, Indian to then have a cause,
have a tribe,
and things like that, and then Vasquez to be again like a criminal and to do it for, so it's there. It's just not super prevalent.
Right. Well, it's hard too because it is 7 main characters, so you can't tell all of their stories.
Right.
It's ridiculous. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous 6.
Even better movie.
Hateful 8.
Let's see. Do I have any other notes? So I did I don't really count the 7 dudes as I'll count them as the main characters.
Right.
So the other side characters, the Emma was a great character. I did like her a lot. But most of the other side characters, you have the classic ones, you've got to have a preacher in the town.
Yeah.
He was okay.
Scottish or whatever he is.
Yeah.
Irish or something.
The brothel owner.
Yeah. And then those dudes, that actually makes money.
I did not like the guy who followed Emma around.
That guy. Yeah. I did not like Teddy.
He was hashtag simp all over.
What was the point of him?
Yeah.
Just to bring somebody along.
He needed to give an actor a role. I don't know.
I don't know. He was my least favorite character, especially because there's a part early on where Chris Pratt is when they first meet, and after Chris Pratt kills those first 2 guys, shoots that dude's ear off, he goes to get his horse back.
Yep.
And then he tells this whole story, and then the horse is actually kind of main running thing of like Denzel's like,
Yeah.
all right, you can leave, but leave my horse because I paid for it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And
Right.
and then he keeps like, hey, did I earn my horse back yet? And
Right.
stuff like that. And then at the end of the movie, they give his horse to that simple dude, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that guy's a mega dork.
Yeah,
I was like-
he was lame.
So that for that reason, it's kind of
I forgot
But-
about him, probably on purpose.
yeah, he was
but-
like, what's the point?
He's never shot a gun or something before. And,
right.
Yeah.
But despite that one dude,
I'm with you. Yeah.
I gave this section a 9.
Nice.
Annoying.
Nice.
You should have given it a 7. Magnificent 7.
Magnificent. Each character gets their own point.
Okay, our next section is plot. For plot for me was tough because it is so simple and straightforward. It's almost boring at times for me personally because it is so simple and straightforward. Like the gathering the team is cool, and then the gunfights are cool, but the in-between stuff is like, meh.
The training of the townspeople.
Yeah, the training of the townspeople, and then the whole night before convos that are going on, and then midnight, midnight leaving at midnight.
Good night.
Good night leaving at midnight. Yeah, so like that whole stuff, it's just like, I don't know, like it felt like there was clearly about to be a big gunfight for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
But for 45 minutes, there
That
wasn't
was a
much
while.
happening. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so for me, like that was just like a dip in the movie. And this movie's like 2 hours and 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that.
Something like that.
To me, it could have chopped out 20 minutes right there and been just as good, if not better, because it would have
Yeah.
been kind of a tighter movie. I love the plot point of them riding into town, just Billy and Denzel. I always forget Denzel's real name in the movie, or his character's name in the movie.
Midnight.
Yeah, Midnight. Anyway, I just call him Denzel.
Chisholm.
Because it's Denzel. Like, who cares what his character's name is? It's Denzel.
Right.
Call him Denzel.
Denzel.
Yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's Denzel. And so they ride into town and they're like outnumbered almost instantly by like the deputies. And you're like, oh snap, what's about to go down? And then all the guys come out of nowhere, and then the Chris Pratt guy comes out and he's just standing there. He's like, hey. And then
Leans against the wood.
You're about to be murdered by the world's greatest lover.
And then the Indian guy's on the roof behind the dead guy. And he like pulls the knife out, and the guy like falls to the ground. You're like, oh dang! Yeah. And that gunfight's really cool.
Yeah.
The gunfight with Chisholm in the bar, where he shoots the stool or the foot off the chair.
Yes.
Shoots the guy's hat off. Like that stuff's really cool. And then the final gunfight with the Gatling gun, all that. Really, really cool stuff. But for me, there were just too many slow moments in between. They took too long to get from high point 1 to high point 2 to high point 3, if that makes sense.
I got you.
The other thing for plot that I took points away from was the simplicity, straightforwardness of the plot, and kind of the predictability of the plot, which... If we're going to get down to it, almost every Western movie is like this. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early fight, middle fight, big fight. I mean, that's
You're
just
right.
kind of the way it works. So it's an old formula, but still, for me, it's like change it up a little bit, show some creativity, originality. But anyway, so for me, plot was the lowest section. I gave it a 5, and I could not find a whole lot of positives other than those 3 moments I already mentioned.
Yeah.
The gathering the team was cool. It took a little too long for me personally, but anyway, I want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I took points off for all the same stuff. I give this section a 6. It is standard Western. Is this? For me, it was like, this is like, there's a lot of cool moments. Well, the whole movie is pretty much just a big cool moment. But there's not a whole lot of substance there. I think the most point, like I said earlier, is where I feel the most substance is probably whenever Chisholm is about to kill Sarsgaard. And he has that moment of weakness. Like for me, that was like my favorite like plot point. But no, like this movie is like I said, it's just a lot of cool stuff. But then like it takes some off for substance because it is like, hey, let's go get everybody. Let's go get everybody. Let's go fix the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what a lot of movies boil down to. But I mean, I think this is a
But
little
this
bit
is
more
even like
straightforward.
more simplified than most movies, I feel like.
But
Yeah.
for me, 6 felt pretty solid.
Yeah. agree wholeheartedly. Little different on the slow parts. I do agree they were slow. I just see them differently.
Right.
It to me, it's kind of like it's a build up thing, like
Yeah.
to add urgency and tension. It's kind of like the build up in Return of the King,
Yeah.
where it's like the big long gap
Yeah.
between when they attack Osgiliath to Fields of Pelennor. Like
Yeah.
it's just a big build up kind of thing, and
Yeah.
but that's also where you get a lot of your character
That's true.
good stuff.
It's true.
So that's how I see those slow parts, because I mean that's where you see like your development with Goodnight and Jack Horn, and then when they're sitting there eating dinner and
Yep.
like you get the development like as a team,
Right.
things like that. So that's how I see it. I gave it a 7. I don't know if I said that or not already, but yeah, again, very simple. But I actually kind of like that, because that's what Western movies are, and you kind of did already say that. But
Right.
I actually think I may have added that more into like cinematic elements to
Yeah.
like stay true to a Western
Yeah.
theme.
For sure.
But so yeah, for plot, it's a
Yeah,
7.
it's interesting. Like, for me, the thing that separates a really good movie from like a great movie is the character and plot section. Like, most good movies do one of those two really well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the other one suffers. But a really, really great movie, or even like a top 25 worthy movie, will do both of those really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this movie obviously chose to simplify the plot in order to lift up the character.
Yeah.
And that's a conscious decision that they made. But it does kind of weaken this section. But anyway, our fourth section is conflict, tension, and urgency. For me, the conflict was okay. There's very little internal conflict kind of throughout the whole movie. I mean, maybe you could talk about Goodnight's internal conflict,
Yeah.
but that's kind of it. The external conflict from Bogue's character, the villain, that's kind of the overarching conflict. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically all it is. Tension, there's a little bit of tension, obviously, in those gunfight moments, especially
Craig.
pre-gunfight, when they're all got the hand on the holster, you know?
Yeah.
Those moments are just tense moments. And that's
Go on,
just,
horse.
yeah, it's just a classic Western trope of
Yep.
slow shot leads to tension, and let that hold just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And
With the dust.
yeah, I mean, it just
Floating on, yeah.
hold that shot, and that just builds tension. I mean,
Do it for an hour.
automatically it builds tension.
Yeah.
The urgency doesn't really come in until the end of the movie, whenever he rides off and he says, "You got 3 days," or whatever he says, and you got 3 days to get there and 3 days to get back, and you're like, "Oh baby, okay, here we go."
Yeah.
That's where the urgency starts, but that's like, I don't know, maybe the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And so all three of those sections have moments, but it's not great
Yeah.
throughout. So I gave the section a 6. Honestly, I don't even know which one's the strongest. I would say conflict, I guess, because it is the one that kind of lasts the whole movie.
That's the only reason for the movie.
Yeah.
Conflict.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I would give the section a 6. And I would say conflict's the best. Tension's probably second. Urgency's probably third, maybe. Anyway, I think this section struggled in this movie because of what we talked about just a second ago with the slowness of some of the scenes. Like, it's really hard to have tension when they're talking about whatever, just building character.
Yeah.
Urgency, same thing. So
I gave this section an 8. I mean, I agree with all what you said. For me, the conflict was, like I said, it's the reason for the movie.
right.
Yeah.
The big conflict. So
Right.
I thought the conflict was good. Tension, it's a Western. They're going to have those tense moments, which I thought they did a great job. That's probably why I give this an 8, is because I
Right.
think, they did a good job of encapsulating that, like, those tense moments, like where, the gunfight's about to start. This is about to happen, like all this. You can feel it coming. The urgency for me, like, yes, they're like, oh, we have 3 days. But to me, it felt like they had, like, 10 years or whatever. They could, like, build 20 trenches if they wanted to. And
Yeah, that's true.
so, I mean, they tried to put in tension. I just didn't feel the tension.
Right.
Um,
Well, they didn't do a great job of portraying time in
Yeah.
this movie,
yeah,
I feel like.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, how much time would you say this movie spans over?
A week
A week or
About
two?
a week, yeah.
or a week and a half, probably.
Yeah.
Because they're on the journey a couple days before they get to the village.
Right.
Yeah, because and they actually do a fairly, and it's again just for me being a weird time person like that. They actually do a fairly decent of giving you, because at the beginning he says, "I'll be back in 3 weeks,"
Right.
and then like there's when Denzel says, "All right, meet me here in 3 days."
Yeah.
And then he goes, Chris Pratt's like, it takes a day to get there, and we're supposed to be there in a day and a half, and let's do a half day of drinking kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
and then, he gets to the town, and and they're like, well, he's got 2 weeks till he gets back or whatever. And he's like, 1 week. And they're like, what? and then he does what you said, explaining of the 3 days there, 1 day to plan, 3 days back. So it doesn't feel, unless you're paying attention to those weird dates that keep getting thrown out.
Right.
I agree. It does feel like that 1 week.
Yeah.
I felt like a long time.
That's my biggest. I think when I say they handled time poorly, is they didn't show, like that montage of them training could have been for months. Like it felt like it. You know what I'm saying? Them digging trenches, or them placing little flags, however far away or whatever.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff, it just felt like it could have. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a good point that you make.
Yeah, I just don't think any of the characters showed urgency. There was never like, all right, hurry up, we got to get this done before this or this. It was like, I don't know. Everything just kind of felt like they were lollygagging a little bit, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, 8. I mean, 8's good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Paul?
I actually gave this section an 8 also. Great conflict. Obviously, it's a conflict movie. It's a fighting movie. Tension, I mean, it's not overall tension. It's the little moments. I mean, like that first 10 minutes is super tense.
For sure.
That's
Once
probably
he
the
walks
most
in the door,
tense part of the movie. I mean, then you get the little moments of tension, like you said, with the gun and the holster and things like that. Or even like when Chris Pratt's teaching Teddy to have a gunfight, and he like draws his gun on him because he's like trying to like play with a card or whatever, and then he draws his gun on him, and you're just like, oh my god!
Well, he says it's not about the card,
and he's like, it's not about the cards, ever, and things like that. And so like that was, but also really really tense because I mean, everybody was kind of like they didn't all really know each other very well, and they were like, whoa.
In the movie for me is whenever he eats the meat. For whatever reason, that moment was really tense.
Yeah,
the
I
raw
was like,
deer
what's
meat.
gonna happen right here? Yeah, I was like,
Well, and I mean that was a tense moment too because I mean,
they're scared of the Indians.
Yeah, they're all scared of Indians, so you're like, what's about to happen?
Because one of them says, when you see one, there's
Yeah, and that's a very true fact in in most Western movies. When you see one, you look up at the top of the hill and there's like 85 of them up there.
Right.
So there were little moments of tension,
for sure.
not huge ones.
Yeah.
And then the urgency I just gave back because they actually did put like a clock on everything, whether it felt urgent or not.
Right.
Not really. It's just there was an actual clock where not a whole lot of movies have like.
Right.
We have a week to do.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, our last section is cinematic elephants.
Think straight.
Dang straight. Cinematic elephants.
Cinematic elements. And basically what we do is we talk about writing, directing, cinematography, score, acting, stunts, CGI, kind of all lumped into one section.
All bananas.
And for me, this section, other than character, was the strength of the movie. Fuqua does a great job in all of his movies. All of his movies are really well done.
Action movies, yeah.
Really good action, high quality action movies. If you've, I think there's a couple of relatively popular movies he's done.
Well, like he did like
Equalizer, Two Guns,
Shooter.
Yeah, he's done a couple of really good ones. Anyway, so I said the stunts were really, really cool. All the gunfights looked legit. I know somebody watched the behind the scenes. I think Luke.
I did.
Behind the scenes, and all the gunfighting, like training that all the actors did, it paid off. They did a great job. The explosions were really, really cool. All the TNT stuff that they were doing.
I always wanted to blow something up.
Yeah. I mean, there were some really cool explosions in this movie. Anyway, I think overall the cinematic elements were really high quality. The acting was good. The writing was pretty good for the most part. I enjoyed some of the dialogue being older, more in a 19th century kind of fun to play with those kind of old language things that the people do. The cinematography was pretty cool. They did some fun stuff with cinematography. And then the music was cool. I love Western music. That's one of my favorite things about any Western movie. So I gave the section an 8. I thought it was really, really solid, really, really good. For me, 9 is like excellent, and 10 is like, And so for me, it was like an 8. Like it felt like a pretty good movie overall, like cinematically.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think westerns are really like their bread and butter is practical effects.
Yeah, for sure.
And so watching the bonus features, like whenever Red Harvest dropped the guy off the
Yeah.
railing, they had the foam on the
Super cool.
on the roof, which he hit, which looked very realistic. Then he hit the ground. There's a pad under the dirt. You can't tell. That stuff was like pretty seamless, and so I think they did a good job of recreating those practical effects that cowboy western movies are really known for. And like you said, the score was good. The action was good. I think the one weird thing for me was like some of the backdrops looked like painted backdrops. But then I'm like at first sight you're like, oh no, it looks bad. And you're like, wait, no, it kind of feels like a western thing, like an old western. So I'm like, all right, I'll keep these points here for them.
Right.
Did I say my score? I give it a 7. There you go. But. No, I mean, it was very solid. Like you said, the gun training, that was really cool that they were all able to like actually do that stuff, flip the guns and whatnot. They had like a gun trainer come up to the set and everything. So I mean, I think it's all very solid, and the 7's very deserving. It's a very solid score. So
yeah,
Paul.
I couldn't agree more with all of that stuff that you guys said. I thought they all did an amazing job acting as well. That's one point that I want to add. I gave it a 9. Yeah, stunts were great, and music was great. Cinematography was great. If I really had to complain about one part, was the very, very end of the movie.
Yes.
And I was like,
the voiceover.
No, the way it looked. The voiceover really didn't bug me.
Oh, the like overhead shot.
No, it's like a really bad CG of like the town,
the hilltop
with the
grave
crosses.
Sites.
And like
it looked bad.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh,
that.
it looked horrible.
It looked bad.
Yeah.
That was my one big complaint with really the whole movie.
Why did that look like that?
It looked bad.
I don't know why they tried
to go
to
and like set up.
Look like a homemade video.
I done that in my backyard and it looked better.
I don't know why they chose to do that, but
yeah.
For me, that the one complaint of the whole cinematically movie is not that bad. But yeah, so like I love practical effects. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
9 for me.
I agree with the ending. I wanted to bring that up this time. I did not like it. The voiceover thing was whatever. I think it's a little bit cheesy personally, but it didn't bother me. But the look was just brutal.
The look was I mean, yes, some of the dialogue was, and it was magnificent. Of like you're like okay. We get it. Like Magnificent Seven.
There was 7 guys.
I love the title drop, and you can always find the title drop like in a movie, and you're like, oh,
okay, so
it in there.
That always makes me think of there's a bit in Family Guy where Peter's always sitting in a movie theater, and then it like cuts to a bunch of them, and he's like in the middle of the movie, he'll be like, there it is, right there. Like when they say the title.
I listen for that in songs, movies, TV. I look for that junk all the time.
Yep.
I love it, dude. That's funny. Anyway, yeah. So total score for me is a 33 out of 50.
34 for me.
41.
Nice.
All right.
So you said IMDb was a 6.9, Metacritic was 54, and
Rotten was like a 60.
Rotten was
64.
64, yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty.
So I got a 66 out of 100 right there. Luke's got a 68. I mean, that's pretty good it's kind of in the middle right there.
Yeah.
It falls up
82.
82. Yeah, 82.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good movie. It's interesting because it's, I don't know, maybe the biggest, most popular modern Western, like ultra modern, as in like the last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Well, it's really the only one that they've done in the last 3 to 5 years.
Has there been another one?
Hell or High Water.
Yeah, I guess that if that one counts, yeah. I don't know. I feel like Western genre, which we can get into meta questions now.
Do it.
Yeah.
I feel like the Western genre is just really non-existent.
Yeah.
As a subgenre, and it has been for a long time. And I don't really know why, other than people may be tired of it.
They just kind of got exhausted, maybe. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I do think you're right, because I mean, the 60s and 70s and even the 50s, that's what a lot of the movies were. Mm-hmm. And there are still ones that are being made recently, like Chris Pratt and Vincent D'Onofrio and Ethan Hawke actually did one that was very, very indie. So very non-mainstream. So there's a lot of them. And there was another one with Kurt Russell not too long ago called Bone Tomahawk.
I saw the trailer for that one.
So there's a few that are still coming out. They're just not very widely accepted.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because that people just aren't into that anymore, which is highly, highly possible because it's
Right. Well, and I feel like
200 years old.
Well, and I feel like, is there a chance that, let's say 30 years from now, is there a chance that superhero movies are like Western movies now?
I think that's
Dude, who knows?
hard.
Is that a chance? Is there a chance that it's going to be like that? Though?
Oh, well,
because
I
you
mean-
think about the last 10 years for us. Like, let's pretend right now is the 1950s or 60s. Like,
Yeah.
this is the golden age of Westerns back then. For us, it's superhero movies.
I think
Like, so 40 years from now, is there a chance that, like, this is what, like, superhero movies will be?
I think
like,
it has to do with
perceived
the
as?
times too, because superhero movies they can be really good now because of the technology we have
That's
to
true.
make those
Right.
good. I mean, they.
Well, I mean, and you look at Star Wars too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Star Wars came out in 70, whatever.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So, and it's still going strong. So,
That's true.
I think it's just a different
Just depends.
feel.
It's interesting too because Western movies themselves might not be that popular, but Western themes, Western style,
Right.
the music, the cinematography, like those
everything.
elements have been kind of accepted and just like shot putted everywhere.
Yeah.
You see it in sci-fi, you see it in fantasy, you even see it like in historical fiction. You see it all over the place. I think of even like Star Wars itself, the movies, or even like Mandalorian. Mandalorian is extremely Western in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. The gunslinger, the bounty hunter, the cinematography. We talked about this earlier, the hand on the hip and the shot. I mean, the music sounds like Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Like
Firefly, like come
Firefly's a
Firefly?
space western, apparently.
Yeah.
on. Apparently,
Never seen it, but anyway. Yeah, so I feel like those elements have... I mean, Han Solo. Is Han Solo not, like, straight out of a Western movie?
He wears a vest. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
He wears a vest and he has his gun, like, on his like,
hip.
knee
Yeah.
almost. That's how low it is.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
You know what
hard
I'm
for
saying?
something to be so popular and not have effects throughout time like westerns have had because
Yeah.
they were so popular. I mean,
Right, and
yeah.
and see, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Is I don't foresee superhero movies going away, but new young directors in 30 years will like if you talk to the Russo brothers or something, they'll probably say like some of those old westerns or even Seven Samurai.
Like Tarantino. I
or
know
Tarantino
Tarantino
or-
references westerns. George Lucas talks about western movies all the
So
time.
yeah, that's what they grew up on,
Right.
and then now we've got young directors who
Who are
are going to
watching
be
Avengers and
so
whatnot.
now they'll take those tones and
Interesting.
move. That's
a
what'll
great point.
probably happen.
That's a great
But
point.
I don't foresee superhero movies going away.
That's a great point. I just feel like the closest thing that I can associate our modern day film society with to the westerns of the 50s, 60s, and 70s is superhero movies.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
the market is so saturated
yeah,
with those movies that I feel like there's going to be, I don't know when it's going to be. It could be now, could be next year, could be 10 years from now. There will be superhero fatigue at some point.
probably.
But I don't know when that will be.
I think it's gonna be with this next phase of Marvel. I think as good as it's gonna be, I don't know if it can reach the peak of what the whole battle with Thanos was and all
Right.
that leading up.
Right.
Well, in DC, if they continue to put out hot garbage,
Hey, their animated movies are good.
That is true.
but I don't know. Like, I feel like the golden age of superhero movies has come and gone. Like, I feel like we've already lived it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like we can go up from here. And
I don't know
Maybe.
if we know that either because I think a lot of people thought like the 2000 like early 2000s Spider-Man might have been like the pinnacle of like, and then all of a sudden
true.
now we have we have a
true.
Spider-Man that's as good if not better in Tom Holland. Like
true.
so, I mean, I think we keep topping ourselves,
it's true.
but I think your point. I think there is a peak to it. And eventually,
At
we
some
might
point.
reach there.
Yeah, it is interesting to me because, like Paul said, like this is our culture, our age, our era's
Yeah.
Western genre.
Yeah.
Because it is so popular. And all the big actors, I mean, all the big actors back then, like, list all the famous actors from the 50s, 60s, 70s.
John Wayne.
Who is it? It's John Wayne, it's Clint Eastwood. I mean,
Yeah.
who else do you have back then? I mean, I'm sure
And
there's others.
John Wayne made like 160 something movies in 20 years.
I saw that. He's like still to this day the most top billed actor of all time.
Yeah.
Like 150 something movies that he top billed.
Golly.
He was a top billing actor. Anyway, yeah. So I feel like there's just like I don't know. There's a lot of parallels there
Yeah.
that I think are really interesting. Okay, my last question: John Wayne, Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington. Where does this movie rank for you with them? Top 3, top 5? Chris Pratt for me is tough because he doesn't have a whole lot of movies, so I would have to say top 5 probably because you have like Guardians, Jurassic World, and then
Zero Dark 30.
Passengers.
I would say top 5 for Chris Pratt probably,
Let's look up old Christoph Pratt.
but Denzel I'd
Jurassic
probably
World.
say no. Well, it's hard too because Guardians has 2 movies plus the Avengers movies he's in, so it's like those
I
all
count
count.
Star Lord.
Those
like
kind of all count as
one.
one. Yeah.
Lego movie. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Onward,
man.
upward, whatever.
Onward.
I'm gonna say it's top 5 for Chris Pratt.
I'll say top 5
I'm
for
gonna
Chris
say
Pratt.
top 5 as well for Denzel.
See, I'm gonna say no for Denzel.
I'm going to say top 5 for both. This is probably my second favorite Chris Pratt movie. It says he was in Her. I didn't know that. Chris Pratt was.
I'm sorry. What?
Interesting.
I love
Anyway,
that movie.
it's probably my 5 for Denzel.
Yeah. See, I would say this is close to top 5 for Denzel, but not quite. I feel like Denzel's been in a lot of other really, really good movies.
Yeah.
I just could not. I probably couldn't give this.
Oh
this
my
one a nod.
gosh, he is in Her. Oh my god.
There you go.
That's
Boom.
crazy. Wow.
What's the other movie he's in that he has like a really small part in that we talked about the other time, last time?
Oh, shoot. I don't remember.
Is it Zero Dark 30?
Probably.
Isn't Zero Dark 30, yeah.
I feel like there's one more. Anyway,
All right, here we go.
I would say no for Denzel. I think you got Remember the Titans, you got Training Day, you got
Book of Eli.
Book of Eli. Oh my goodness, what a great movie.
Two Guns.
I like Two Guns a lot. I like Equalizer a lot. I like Unstoppable a lot.
Eh.
You didn't like Unstoppable?
Well, it's not my top 5.
I like that one a lot. I like Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. I want to see Flight. I think he's really...
Flight's good.
Fences is not a great movie, but he is so good in that movie.
Yeah,
I just
he
feel
was
like
in movie 43.
he'd be
Forgot about
close, yeah. Anything else, guys? That's all
No,
I got?
that's all I got.
Oh, Moneyball. That's what it was.
That's what he's the
guy
second
who-
baseman or
yeah.
whatever.
changed from catcher to first base
There it
in
is.
Moneyball.
Yeah, there you go.
2011.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, yeah, no, I don't have any questions.
Fun stuff. I like doing westerns. We'll do Tombstone in a month or two.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
That'll be
Well,
fun.
next we're doing Gladiator.
Next
next
week
we're
is
doing Gladiator.
So if you haven't seen Gladiator,
American
then what have you been
classic.
doing with your life? It's
Dude.
just like
True.
Braveheart. Everyone was seeing it. They saw it as a baby.
Bro, when my sons turn like 13,
Okay.
Braveheart, Gladiator, let's go.
So
Like this might be the first rated R movie.
I think
that
it
my
was the
kids will
first one
watch.
that I ever watched because it was, the tipping point for me to be able to watch Gladiator was Return of the King.
Yes.
Because I went and saw Return of the King in theaters with my parents.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, I don't remember how old I was, probably.
03, I think.
Okay, so I would have been 12 or 13. And so I was like, okay, like, I don't know how we got off on the topic, but I was like, can we watch other movies like that? Because I was always trying to push the level.
Yeah, yeah.
No
Like,
doubt.
all right, when
No
can I
doubt.
watch a rated R movie?
Yeah, no doubt.
And they were like, well, Gladiator was about as bloody as this movie was.
Yeah.
So that's when I got to watch Gladiator.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Gladiator's
Yeah,
very
I remember
PG-13.
my dad, he might still to this day, but my dad forever, when we were kids, had 3 shelves. Our
Yep.
shelf, the kid shelf, which is all the animated movies.
Yep.
Then the shelf we were allowed to watch
Star
full
Wars.
of adult movies, Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Then there was the top shelf we could not reach, and it was too dark in the closet to even see the
Yes.
movies up there. And I was like, oh, we cannot look at the movies. up
I
there.
remember
And
that.
one day, my dad says, "Okay, come on over here. I'm gonna walk you up this step ladder. We're gonna pick a movie off that top shelf." And so we picked up Braveheart and Gladiator, and
Picked like Animal House or something.
yeah, exactly. And dude, yeah. So Gladiator for me, like that'll be one of the first 2 or 3 movies my kids watch that are like rated R.
That was good.
Dude, yeah, amazing.
So look out for Gladiator next week. I think I was excited to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
movie.
we got a few good movies lined up. So stay tuned, and we will catch you guys next time.